I have an exciting package here from Scale Trains, and it's still warm. I'm sitting out in the 105-degree Arizona September day. Let's open this thing up. Let's see what's in here. Well, I know what's in here. But I have not seen one in person. And I hope I got some candy. That's pretty important. Well, I don't like butterscotch. But I got a pineapple dum-dum. So that might be okay. But I'm pretty sure this will be okay. And it is the new SD45X museum quality HO scale locomotive from Scale Trains. There we go. There it is. Little bit of information. Manual. Nice fancy black and gold printing. Pretty standard stuff. If you've had any interest in this model, you probably know a little bit about it. Only 7 of these were ever built. The first SD45X was a plain Jane demonstrator that made the rounds. The remaining 6 SD45X locomotives were all built to Southern Pacific specifications, while 3 of the locomotives were as delivered in SP paint. 3 more built to SP specifications were in demonstrator paint for several years, at least 2 years. The first demonstrator, the plain Jane unit, was given road number 5740. The next 3 demonstrators that were built to SP specs were given road numbers 4201, 4202, and 4203. Now, this unit, SP9503, was the first demonstrator to be painted in SP colors. And I think this is demonstrator 4201. Now, SP purchased the 3 SP spec SD45X locomotives in late 1972, and this unit was put into SP paint in early 1973. And one thing about this unit that differs from the SP as-built SD45X units is this unit has the large SP lettering on the nose. And honestly, that's why I bought this unit. So I wanted that big white SP on the nose of the locomotive. All right, looks like it just has the typical locomotive packaging. Has the museum scale pin, and I got this with my Milwaukee Road SDL39. Be careful here, I don't break anything. It's a chunk. It is pretty hefty. Now, I did not pre-order this model. The concern I had about this model was the required minimum radius curve. Minimum radius is 22 inches with a recommended radius of 24 inches. I have two curves on my layout on my main line that are 23 inches. So I was concerned that this locomotive would have troubles running on my layout. Now, the first day these became available on Scale Train's website, I emailed Scale Trains and I asked about that because I have two SD40T-2 locomotives on pre-order. Those locomotives are the same length as the SD45X, but the SD40T-2s only require an 18 to 22 inch radius. And I believe they have the same trucks with the same truck centers. So I asked Scale Trains, what's the deal? And I was told that it's the coupler swing, that the SD45X, if you have a longer car connected to it, like an auto rack, the limited swing of the couplers requires a minimum 22 inch radius curve. So that alleviated a lot of my concerns because I'm not going to run any cars anywhere near that length. So I went ahead, took a chance, ordered 9503, and I guess I'll find out shortly if it's going to have any problems running on my track. The truck detail looks pretty amazing. There are a lot of fine details there, so I'll need to be careful on how I handle the locomotive. I'm going to want to grab it by the fuel tank. Now, the SD45X was the first locomotive to use the HTC trucks. Have the EMB data plate, and the door latches look terrific. Has some hinge detail. There's bolt detail on the panel on the side of the cab. The lower wind deflector brackets, which are pretty impressive. The railing ends with bolts. And the cab has a sunshade on each side. Some plumbing on the air tank. Some more fuel tank detail. Again, sander lines, brake cylinders, brake plumbing. And the plumbing even has fittings. I mean, if you look at there, you got a nice elbow there. It's pretty incredible. A nice EMD cast into the truck. Some real nice bolt detail. Again, all the fine details that are really only noticeable under magnification. But they really look terrific. And the molding on this model is super sharp. And the radiator inlet, that looks terrific. And again, the details are gorgeous. Fan detail is gorgeous. All the bolts for the shroud, the very fine fan grills, the fan blades, the really small, delicate lifting rings, and the same with the dynamic brake fans. Just really nice. And the panel line detail looks great. Everything's molded very sharply. And the exhaust outlet looks good. Got the horn, the bell, the radio antenna base. The model has real nice MU hose detail with detailed fittings on the end of the hoses. The airline hose is really nice with a great fitting. Could use a little touch-up on the black for the hose. And coupling lever's real nice. The brackets for the uncoupling lever are super nice. See the bolt detail and the profile for the brackets. Got a stand for the MU cable. And these locomotives had plows. They ran in Northern California and ran in the mountains quite a bit, so we'd run into snow. Stanchion detail is pretty nice. And of course, there's the famous SP light package. Very fine and delicate windshield wipers. Got the number boards. And we have the gyro light as part of the SP light package. The SD45X has the L-shaped window that we're seeing in a number of SP locomotives. It's a nice looking ratcheting brake with fine detail. Got the front sandfield cap with hinge detail. And the paint on this model is smooth as glass. And I have to say, Scale Trains just nailed it on the colors. These colors are spot on. You can see a little bit of a sprue nub on the handrail. Maybe in the future, when I put a little weathering on it, I'll go around and trim some of that stuff off. You got the perforated steps. You can see through those steps. I don't know if those are photo etch or plastic. The numbered MU hoses. Some grabs on the plow. And that big SP lettering on the nose looks terrific. Always like that on SP locomotives. On the rear of the locomotive, have a plow, MU hoses, air hose. Got the grabs on the plow. Got the numbers for the MU hoses. The end of the locomotive's a little bit plain. Got class lights, the rear headlight. Got the rear sand filler cap. Stanchions look real nice, bolt detail. scale trains couplers. The diamond plate on the walkway looks real nice. All the beautiful detail is evident on the right side, just like the left side. This is an absolutely magnificent model. All right, let's fire it up. All right, function 8. Start up the engine. Get the cab lights. Got a light above the front truck. We got some walkway lights. F0, the headlight. F1, the bell. F2, the horn. F3, handbrake. Hear the ratcheting. F4, dynamic brakes. And maybe the locomotive has to be in motion for that. F5 is the class lights. It's green, red, white, off. F6, the gyro light. F9 is drive hold. F10 is independent brake. F11 is radiator fan. F12 is headlight dimmer. F14, number boards off. There's number boards on, number boards off. F15 is UDE light. See it flashing red. F18, sanding valve. F19, short air let off. F22, cab door. F23, engine hood doors. And it goes on and on. Let's go run it. Let's test out its low speed performance. Here's speed setting 1. Little bit jerky. 2. Pretty smooth at 2. Real smooth at 3. So put it in reverse. 1. 2. Three. Again, just a little bit jerky. Speed setting 1 and speed setting 2, and it smooths out real nice at 3. I have 19 cars connected to the locomotive. So I'll see if it has 4,200 HO horsepower, or if I need to take a few cars out. Now I have my initial throttle setting at 10%, and it doesn't seem to be having any trouble. I do love that flange squeal. This 23-inch radius curve is the most challenging curve on my layout for the SD45X. Here you can see the extreme deflection of the 50-foot boxcar coupler and almost no movement of the SD45X coupler. And I can see where Scale Train says 22-inch minimum. I love that frog clank. I get the frog clank, I get the flange squeal, and a few other sounds without running the engine, which is pretty nice. Scale trains, museum quality, Southern Pacific SD45X. What do I think about it? It is a magnificently, superbly detailed locomotive. It is very powerful. I've run the locomotive for at least 2 hours, and it pulls 19 cars like they're not even there. I like the fact that I can turn off the engine sound, but I still get some sound effects from the locomotive. I get the frog clank, which I love. I get the flange squeal, which I also love. And I get some air valve let-offs as well. Because I'm going to run this locomotive probably 90% of the time with the engine sound off. When Scale Train says 22-inch radius minimum, they're not joking. That is the absolute minimum. Now I have two 23-inch radius curves, and the coupler swing on these 50-foot boxcars when connected to the SD45X are extreme in their movement. They're all at the end of their travel. The coupler on the SD45X barely moves. So there's no way you're running this on a layout with curve radiuses less than 22 inches. Now if you're a collector, I'd snap one up. If you want to run it on your layout and you have curve radiuses less than 22 inches, then I would definitely pass. A couple negatives, the sander lines. I have two sander lines that are broken from the nozzles that'll have to be glued back on. I think really that's about it. You know, I think if you're buying this locomotive, you should know what you're getting into. The paint is fantastic. It's smooth as glass. The colors are spot on. I absolutely love it. And I think it's one of the jewels in my collection 2.0. So I thank you for watching, and I hope you come back again.